out, cows. Come on. Come on, cows. Come on, cows. Come on.
Texas blues came night crawling out of Houston gambling dens. Transformed its own image like a viper sheds her skin. Don Robles, Peacock Records was a happening place to be, and that's where Texas blues can trace its legacy. It's bigger.
What I just did right there is gonna save our butts big time this year. So what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Ryan from Freedom Foods Farm, and today we have kind of a grim update about our weather situation here in East Texas. Last year we went through a pretty good drought. Over 20 weeks we got like 1/3 of an inch of rain. That's not very good. This year's not shaping up to be any better, and with all the circumstances of the world, probably a lot worse. See, I was at the co-op the other day and got behind two older ranchers, and they're talking about how much they're struggling right now, how much their grass isn't growing, how much their weeds are ahead of the grass, how much the prices of cubes are, how much the prices of feed are. And again, price of diesel and hay, it's a whole nother video, I covered that. But what they're trying to decide, and they were bouncing ideas off of each other about when to destock, because we're looking at a pretty significant drought. It's heating up here really quickly. For context, we've been here 2 years, and those 2 years it's gotten over 100 degrees one time. Depending on what forecast you look at, starting tomorrow, we could be in a 100-degree day for the next week. Not so good, and it's only June. It's only June. July, August, and September aren't here yet, and that's usually when it's the worst. So what are we doing about it? The same thing that we've done for the last 2 years. Implement regenerative grazing, mob grazing, the whole regenerative agriculture movement's principles of moving the animals every day. That's what we're doing about it. So for those of you that don't know, this is our lane here, and we have electric line running on both sides of the lane. And what we do is we systematically move the cows all around the farm with just an electric line, and it just goes from here to there, and then to keep them in, we have one right there, and then we just move it every day. It's just strip grazing it. And why do we do that? Because it's the way that we can most closely represent the great herds that were on North America, Africa, Asia, around the world, about migrating and moving with the grass. They followed the grass. They'd stay together in millions and millions and millions in the herd, and they'd follow the grass together. And when they did that, what they'd do is they'd leave the grass that they ate or they trampled or they pooped on behind, allowing it time to rest, regrow, recover, and grow back up even stronger. Now, when you just turn your cows out, guess what? They'll eat the grass down to just about the ground. It comes up this much, guess what? They're coming back, taking a bite of it, and it happens over and over and over and over again. The grass is not able to really establish a root system that well, and when we get in super dry conditions and the roots only go down this far because the plant's only allowed to grow up this much, not looking very good. So what do? We have the cows come, and like right here, they take the grass down pretty good. And look where I just moved them to. See, it's grown up better. This is not the best area in the paddock. It's right up there. That's the best. It's better, but this is okay. This is pretty good. It's a lot better than that, because if we just turn the cows out here, this grass would start growing again in about 4 days. They'd come take a bite when it's about here, and you wouldn't get that much growth. What it also does is it spreads the manure out evenly throughout the paddock. That way it's not just all concentrated in one area. Because when you just turn your cows out, the cows have a little bit of a tendency to stay on kind of a routine. They'll go around your farm, and at 3 o'clock you kind of know where they are. At 5 o'clock you kind of know where they are. They usually sleep in a couple of the same places, and in the morning you know where they are. Usually same time of day as they're pooping, so you know what, their poop gets concentrated in certain areas, and the places where they like to eat and not poop starts to get degraded over time. But by allowing this grass to stay, you know, this long right here, still something, it's able to keep a good root system intact, and then it stays in its growth stage to where this is going to grow up a lot faster than, say, right there down at the bottom. Like if I were to cut this right here down there, like If I were to cut this down at the bottom, like right there where the cows would, you know, probably get to, or if you had sheep, you better be doing this, especially this year, you're in a lot of trouble. It would take it much, much longer for it to grow back. And we're trying to get every kind of growth that we can this year because hay prices through the roof. So does this work? Yes, absolutely. You can see, this is where we were yesterday. That's where we were the day before, the day before, the day before, and we just rotate around the farm this way. So let's just go across the way and see what's grown back up. And you know what, as I'm making this video, it's probably not gonna last, but we're getting just a sprinkle of rain, and I love it. I love it. I just wanna go capture that whole cloud, put it on the farm, and get like 3 inches and be really good. But you can see in this area, this is about a week and a half ago that they were here, and the grass is starting to grow back up. It's starting to grow much more back up. And let me show you something. This right here, it's probably an anthill, molehill, or whatever. It's got goat weed in it. Now, when you look here, and it gets, this is dry, you know, this is powder. This is not great. I don't mind it. I don't put out poison for it because I don't want to put poison in the ground. But I take it that the ants, the moles, the voles, what they do is they go and aerate the ground and they bring up nutrients. So that's just my way of getting, you know, saying, okay, it's not so bad. But you can see this. This is powder. This is terrible. Now, when there's no covering, on here, guess what? Even if the little bit of rain, you can see there's a raindrop right there. Guess what? It's dry already. You know, even if we got a real good rain, guess where the first place that's going to be dry is? This right here, because it's nothing. It's powder. There's nothing growing on it besides a couple goat weeds and whatever this stuff is. Hopefully that's good. So there's nothing here to hold it. Now, what I'm going to do is just make a little volcano to where hopefully we get a little bit of a shower, water goes in there, and we fix 1 square foot of this farm. But when you have covering, at least some, like here, it's not the best, but it's still covering, and you have thatch on the bottom, it will absorb water much better. See, there's more organic matter here on the ground than there is there. And for every 1% of organic matter that you have in your soil, it holds 26,000 gallons of water per acre. So if you're comparing to your neighbor that doesn't do it this way, you're basically gaining an extra inch of rain. You're able to hold on to an extra inch of rain for every 1% of organic matter higher in the soil that you have than your neighbor. And to use a little bit of an extreme example of this, think about this. Next time you go outside, go get a water bottle or a glass of water, okay? Pour it on concrete. Pour it on concrete, and at the same time, pour some on any kind of soil. Hopefully it's in your garden, somewhere where you can just see the water, okay? Come back in 15 minutes. See which area is holding more water. Concrete, 0% organic matter. What happens when you pour it on there? It evaporates, goes back into the air, does your land no good. When you put it on the soil, guess what? Come back 15 minutes later, depending on how hot it is, it's probably still pretty damp. So the goal here is to get a covering even when the cows are off of it, even when they came and took the grass, is to get a covering all on the land. And you know what, even this year I hope it's not too many weeds, but I'll take any kind of covering that we can get. And what I'll do in the areas that it gets real weedy, to where it kind of just starts shading out any of the grasses, I'll go back and selectively mow, like where the blackberries are. I don't know if you can see that, where they are. There's a blackberry patch back there that's in the pasture. I'll come back, mow that down. There's a lot of grass going to grow up there. Probably not. Is there going to be more than there was? Yes. And like I said, we'll take every blade of grass this year. And this here right here, this is the beginning stages of Indian grass growing back up after the cows grazed it. See, they grazed it probably down to about here, but it's kept it in its growth stage to where it didn't eat it all the way to the bottom. And the Indian grass, what this does, and just like the other native grasses here, it sends roots down super deep to where, you know what, it's a lot more moist and it's a lot more damp there. So they're able to draw water up deep in the ground because this particular grass here, its roots can go down 16 feet. 16 feet. So it might even hit like an aquifer and be able to soak up after that. But when you graze this, the roots on the bottom die and just adds soil to the organic matter. But the problem with this is the cows love this stuff. So if you don't move them off of it every day or every couple days, they'll eat it all the way down to the ground. And its roots are sensitive, so it'll disappear, and next thing you know, it's gone. So this stuff here, this Indian grass, this, I'm almost tempted to say that's a little bit of Eastern Gamma grass there, but I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to claim it. But this stuff here is gonna save our butts come summertime, because this is growing back really strong. It was able to send down roots and get established to where the cows can come back and graze this. So come July, August, September, even October, if we don't get the fall rains like we haven't at all gotten the last 2 years, we still have something to graze. We still have something to graze. It puts us in much better position than most people. But this is the year that our practices of regenerative agriculture, with the drought, with hay prices, with everything that is getting thrown at us right now, is gonna be put to the test, and I think we're gonna come out okay. And I'll tell you something right now, that field over that we just saw where the Indian grass is and the more native grasses are, we had like maybe 1, maybe 2 of those grasses the first year that we were here, and that's being a little bit generous. This year, it's spreading all throughout the farm. It started spreading last year. This year, it's even more so. It's even going up the hill, which is a little bit weird, but because we move the cows every day and we're allowing that to go to seed, they'll eat some of the seeds and it'll spread in the manure, and what a better place, and there's not a better place for it to grow up than inside of a cow pat. It's still just sprinkling. You might be able to hear it hit the top of my hat. And it's just so nice to hear. We'll take every single drop that we possibly can. We'll take every grass blade that we can this year, because we're doing a direct consumer marketing style where we're going to be selling individual cuts of meat, you know, maybe quarter cows. We're not going to do wholes because we have too much demand for that. I'm not in position, because of that business model, to destock. I have to keep our steers. I have to keep all of our cows that we have, because as the business grows, demand's going to grow. I need to make sure that, okay, just because we had a drought year doesn't mean that people are going to stop eating beef. I don't want to lose customers by saying, sorry, we're out. So we have to implement things to where we don't run out. We don't run out of beef. We don't have to destock. I think we're going to be okay. See, this is where we were about 2 weeks ago. You can see it's growing. We're not getting much rain. We're not getting much rain at all. But what we are getting, we're capturing. We're not letting run off. And it's legitimately growing back up. That's because we're giving it time to grow back up. And you just need to let your ground rest, recover, and regrow. So if you want to get started in this right now, there's no better time. There's no better time, especially with everything that's the world's throwing at us and all the challenges that are coming up. Right now is no better time. What I do, listen real carefully. It's not that hard. It's not that hard at all. Divide up your farm into 5 areas of equal grass, okay? You're looking at, okay, it's all about the same and across the 5 areas. So don't do it by like, oh, there's 10 acres here, 10 acres there, 10 acres here, kind of thing. No, no, no. Divide it up by what you would just eyeball and see as equal grass, okay? Your cows right now, set them up in 2 of those areas. Give them 2 of those areas, and what you can do, just run an electric line. Try and find any old aluminum soda cans, any kind of soda bottles, beer bottles, whatever you can. As long as it's aluminum, put it on the wire, okay? Slip it through, tie it on, however you want to do it. The cows will come up, they'll touch it with their noses, or they'll lick it with their tongue. They'll get the point of the electric fence real quick. They're not too old, they're not too stubborn, they're not too whatever. They'll listen to it, and just have that thing cranked up as high as you possibly can. Then from that point, move them once a week. Move them once a week. Just move them to the next section once a week and move them around the farm that way. What you'll see is a lot of rest and recovery to where grasses will start to grow back up. When you see that, try moving them every 4 days. When you see that and see what it does for your land, do it once a day. Go from there. But all you have to do is move them once a week, and you're going to save yourself a ton of time, a ton of money, a ton of hay. And you know what? Your cows are going to be in a lot better position because they're eating that top portion of the grass where all the sugars are, rather than at the bottom. And don't worry about the calves. They're going to get in the lane. That's very normal because they don't touch the wire and it's not high enough. What they can do is they can just creep graze, which is perfectly fine. So they get in the best of the best of the best, while their mamas and their brothers and everything else, everybody else is out here grazing that paddock. What's up, my boys? Huh? I've had so many little bull calves this year. And no, they are not twins. Everybody asks if they're twins or triplets. No, they're not. They're just, they look very similar. They have the same daddy. And to just give you an idea, this right here is what they're moving on to. Doesn't look like much grass, but this is coastal Bermuda. And it's like angel hair pasta, where it's just super, super dense. and super good for them. So you want your pastures to look like this. Most of them are starting to get this way. Just take some time, still a couple weeds, whatever, but you know what, this is gonna save us big time. So if you're running cows, if you're running any kind of herbivore, I hope that you can take something from this and help, you know, put your cows in better position, put you in better position, put the whole world in better position if you do that. Because look at this back here. They're headed towards this in about a week. This still has about a week to grow up. We're growing a lot more grass than just turning your cows out. This is going to be the test for all farmers and ranchers this year. This is the test for regenerative agriculture, and right now you can see it's passing the test. So just be willing to keep an open mind, and hopefully we don't have people having to sell out or lose their entire herd or lose a lot of money, because it's going to be a bad year. It's going to be a rough year. Put yourself in position now. And to get more tips and tricks about how we're doing it here, hit that subscribe button down below. Ring the notification bell so you get notified when we put up the new videos. Hit the like button because it really does help boost us up in the YouTube algorithm, and drop a comment if you like. Alright, until next time. See ya. Bye.